Hey, what's up, everyone? Huh? Oh, I'm sorry.
You didn't tell me. You just
I thought I did.
No.
Man, I'm sorry.
You turn on your thing?
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Let's do it.
I'm sorry, man.
No, it's all good.
One of these days, I'll get it all right. Yeah, we will. We will. We're doing good. So, I decided to go back and talk about Nigeria again because something so cool happened there. We talked about it before. I'm going to bring it up again. The Nigerian government has agreed to a 66% minimum wage increase. Okay, a nationwide strike.
Wait, what is their minimum wage right now?
I don't know.
No, that's what I'm saying. I have to think about that.
66% less. It's now 66% more than what it was.
So I'm just thinking about it because in some prisons, inmates get paid 15 cents an hour.
Yeah, well, that's different.
So 66%. I'm just curious how much of a 66. How much is their minimum wage?
Yeah, but we don't want to compare it to prisoners. We want to compare it to.
Yeah, well, I'm just kind of considering.
Yeah. Because
how low is their minimum wage? I mean, what is their minimum? Is their minimum wage?
Well, sure, it's low. I mean, of course, it's low, but I mean, 66%. It's going to make a big difference no matter what you're getting. Come on, man.
So if you're making 15,
hey, if you don't want a 66% more, I'll what?
Well, I understand that, but
Okay.
if you're making, let's just say you're making 25 cents an hour.
Yeah.
66% raise off of 25.
Yeah. Come on,
That's
wait.
not a lot.
Well, 25 cents goes a lot further in Nigeria than it goes here.
Well, okay, half of 25 cents would be about, let's just round it off to what? Let's just say,
Okay, say it's a
12 cents.
Yeah.
So that's 50%. So 60% would be, okay, 12 cents. Let's just say 17 cents. Let's just say 17 cents. So you'd be making, what's 17 plus 25?
Yeah, but I mean, look at okay. Now think about I'm thinking about what I get. Okay, hey, if I got a 66% increase on my check, I'd be very happy. We need to not.
I see how you're saying it, but now if they said, cause see 66, I don't know, dude. It's just. It depends to me. It depends on how much you're making. If it's really going to make a big difference.
Of course, it's going to make a big difference. I mean, 66% more of anything is going to make a big difference. Okay, like say you have, say you're like drinking a pint of beer. Okay, is that that's like another beer and a half?
Somewhat, because if you're making
a nationwide strike was called off after trade. It was the trade unions. Okay, here we go. The government. Okay, the minimum wage is okay. But look, you have to think that this is completely different. Okay, the minimum wage was $50 a month, and it's now $83 a month. Dude.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay.
But look, okay, obviously,
obviously, I know what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Come on, man,
I just think sometimes it's funny. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, but okay, I mean, it's a huge difference. I mean, of course,
it's a huge difference in a sense. I guess if you've been making $50 a month, and someone gives you about 30 something more dollars, I guess that's
well,
a
yeah.
big difference.
I mean, this is all proportionate. I mean, Francis Perkins' salary was like $11,000 a year or something back in the 1930s. I mean,
that's different. That's
no,
the 1930s.
Well, think back in the 1930s.
$11,000 a year was. Probably
well, that's
good.
the same. 50,
1930s, you could buy a hamburger for like 10 cents.
50. Well, just imagine what the minimum wage was back. It's the same thing. It's like it's a whole different standard. It's like, okay, this is like, well, imagine what minimum wage was in Nigeria back in
But
They were like under well, they were under colonial
if you're
rule.
Here, you're making, let's say, minimum wage is $12, 66%.
Exactly.
Would be decent.
Come on, man. It's different. It's like a whole different thing, you know.
You're right.
I mean, see, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
66% would be pretty cool.
Yeah, look at the, like say if you're getting, like say if you get if you're getting paid 50, say you're like helping, say you're like picking up an odd job that you're getting paid $50 for, and instead you get $83.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a lot more.
Yeah, that's a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously, man. Nobody can get a break with you. So yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I just wanted to get back to that, and then so in Ethiopia, the mass grave was I almost had that right. I said 300. It was 200 bodies near the border between the Somali and Oromia regions of the country. Good. Just checking to see if I remember what I said last month. So I'm doing something kind of new. You guys know people know I went to Bayard Rustin's archives in Washington, D.C. So what I'm organizing the Bayard Rustin Symposium, which is next month, and we're going to be having a historical book club. We're the Global History Club, Global History Night. Okay, that's what we are now. We're going to be doing that the Tuesday before the symposium, and we have a YouTube channel now too. So people can catch us there too. So one of the things I was doing was it's sort of in a way it's kind of like even more, sometimes you can make stuff too complicated, because I was trying to figure out what to do with my research, and I was like, okay, well, maybe what I can just do is do like a little slideshow of the stuff I copied and say why I thought it was interesting. Okay, like that's pretty basic. So one of the things, one of the pieces of correspondence I was looking at was from somebody who wrote to Bayard Rustin in the late 60s, and it was 1968. It was a month after, and he had been writing a biography of Martin Luther King, and the letter was dated like a month after King died. It was kind of interesting because it doesn't say anything about it. So in his letter to Bayard, he said, he's writing about the book, and he said, I would appreciate it if you could look at page such and such that mentions you, and I wanted to show you this because of the sensitivity, and could you date this for me more exactly? And then he says, I've always had a lot of respect for you, Bayard. So I knew what he was talking about because I know a lot about Bayard. It would have had to do with Bayard being busted for his sexuality. But I went and found the actual book that had been written to see what the guy did. And what had happened was Bayard Rustin and Martin Luther King were going to picket in front of the DNC, the Democratic National Committee headquarters, and they were going to picket there, and Congressman Adam Clayton Powell didn't want them to do it because Powell was more he was in Congress. He was more sort of like, draw the line, don't go picket and do stuff like that. So he said that, if they did it, if Bayard and A. Philip Randolph were involved, he would spread a rumor that Bayard and Martin Luther King were having an affair. And Adam Clayton Powell was a jerk. And so Bayard left, and King offered to stick up for him, but Bayard, as he did other times, said, the movement is more important. I'm going to get out of the way. And he did. And so in the book, which was published in 68 or 69, the author wrote that Powell threatened to release a damaging story, but a rumor, but in the book he didn't say what Powell had threatened to do. So that was kind of interesting because it's an example of what did you do at the how do you tell the truth and still be sensitive, because I mean it was still the 60s. People could have gotten into a lot of trouble, and you know, everybody was still alive and active, and you know, King was alive while he was writing it. Powell was alive. So I just thought that was interesting. Like, what is your responsibility? And because that's one of my I'm just really interested that in your responsibility to history. And one of the things that has happened to Bayard is there's a lot of people, or there's people that know him through queer history, through gay history, and think that's what he was, that's what he was about. And it wasn't, because Bayard wasn't working in gay rights during his life. Like, there wasn't much of a movement, but there kind of was, and he wasn't doing it. He did something different. So I just feel like he needs to be represented. But then, you know, also sometimes people are remembered differently than how they want to be remembered, and sometimes that's just because of their own actions. Because I feel like strongly that I feel that Bayard should be remembered for what was most important to him, but it wasn't. But that's not just because of his feelings. It is because of what he did and what I know his values were. So that's one of the things that I find that I'm going to be talking about, is that, you know, as you keep going, the recounting of history becomes history itself. Okay, and sadly, going back to Yemen, there's now a question as to whether Trump will veto. Okay, I have to remember what it's called. Whether Trump will veto the measure trying to get the United States out of Yemen, and there's that possibility, and it's coming from Al Jazeera, so that's going to be pretty accurate, because they're the ones that keep track of all of that. And it was okay, right. I'm trying to find how to figure out how they put it. Wait, where's my Al Jazeera? Oh man. So we'll see if that because what the legal principle of what they're trying to do, of what Congress is trying to do, is something that hasn't happened since that's the question. Will President Trump veto measure to end U.S. support for Yemen war? And what they're doing is using a mechanism that was created to try and get the United States out of Vietnam, for Congress to try and have more control over that. So I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, our government is supposed to have a system of checks and balances to try and figure that stuff out. Yeah, the U.S. senators voted to end support for the Saudi United Arab Emirates coalition fighting in Yemen. So so they passed, and then they passed a resolution blaming Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for the murder of the journalist. Like, okay, now you guys are doing something, and if these measures pass the House of Representatives, they're likely to be vetoed by the president. So I just think that's so messed up. Like, okay, well, now you guys are getting involved. Now you guys care about Yemen? I mean, please, that just sucks. Oh, okay. So, man, talk about history. There was, the whole question of how people are going to be remembered. There was all that like soppiness about President George H.W. Bush dying, and like, oh, he was the last of the good Republicans, whatever. But I don't know. I mean, he was better than some of them, but he certainly like perpetuated like ignorance and perpetuated the Reagan era's silence and ignoring of the AIDS epidemic. And I don't know, nobody should. And it was weird. It was like 3 days of mourning. The last time there was so much mourning for a president that died was when Gerald Ford died. It's like, whoa, what is it about being a one term? That's wild. I mean, what is it about being a one-term president? And he wasn't even a one-term. I mean, Gerald Ford was like a 3-year president or something.
Well, some people just remember certain presidents.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
I don't know. I mean, I think people want to, you want to look back and have like sentimentality and stuff like that. But, oh man, people are going to lose it when Jimmy Carter croaks. Because people are so sentimental about him already, and he wasn't that, and you can like point out plenty of problems with him too. So, okay. I was looking at that. Okay, sorry everybody. Oh, okay. That's what I was looking at that. See.
That's I don't get it.
Oh, okay. It says 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock right there.
Well, yeah,
oh, okay.
Not on your show. You don't.
What?
You had 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Now everybody knows that I told you 5 minutes. They weren't supposed to know that.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. See, I was just that's just how I was timing. I was timing myself from that.
Well, I was giving you more time because you seemed like you needed a little bit more time. You were keep going. Oh, okay. Well, I guess you didn't.
No, I didn't.
Then I guess it's
okay, everybody.
All right.
We're signing out next month.
Nah, not necessarily next month.
Oh, we have another one?
Well, you don't remember New Year's Eve?
Oh, New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve.
You're forgetting about New Year's Eve?
Of course I'm not forgetting about New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve is the duck soup party.
Yes, so until then, and yes, Anna will be there.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.